Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to the Rockman Power Hour, a show where we talk to everybody in the world of pop culture. And we are very excited this week to be joined by the singer of an amazing Canadian punk band that I've been following forever, and that I think you will absolutely love if you have not discovered them yet. They're called the Dirty Nil, and we're going to be talking to their singer, Luke, today on the Rockman Power Hour. Hey, welcome everybody to the Rockman Power Hour. I'm here with my co-host Ryan Stick. Ryan, listen, we've got a lot to talk about because we've been hanging out. We've been talking a lot lately. We've been recording a bunch of stuff. We've been preparing for the summer. We've got so much on the go, but we did get a chance to go out the other night, and I want to talk a little bit about that because I think we have some thanks that are in order to a specific band. But before we dive too fast into that, I want to remind people to please like and subscribe. Click that notification button so you will be alerted every time we drop a new episode. And we tend to drop them a little more often than once a week sometimes. Sometimes we'll do an extra thing like a bite-sized edition where we'll do a movie review. And we're always open to any suggestions you might have for content. So please interact with us on our social media and like and subscribe wherever you are listening or watching this. We really, really appreciate it. And Ryan, the lights would not be on anywhere in the Rockman Power Hour if it wasn't for the heartbeat of the Rockman Power Hour. And that, of course, is
Heartbeat hot sauce.
Wow. Yeah. That was okay.
That was what we in the business call smooth, sarcastically.
That what we would call a dramatic pause.
There you go.
So what do you got holding up? Show me what you got.
All right. Yeah. I got the red habanero right here. I love it. But I do also, just because it's green screen and I want to show it right now, I have I'm horrified to tell you that I have 4 bottles of dill pickle, and I've come to discover that they are all half empty.
All of them, why are all of them half empty?
Because
be
apparently
like one of them half empty.
I know. Apparently just one was gradually used, and then another one, and then another one. And now I feel like I'm in a Batman death trap, and I'm dangerously low on my favorite stuff. So
all right, so Red Habanero, definitely a favorite of mine as well. I wanted to bring in some of the collabs because they have been collaborating with a lot of people. This is the In Flames one. Have you tried the In Flames one?
I have. Good. It tastes like my mouth was in flames.
And and that's what's great about it is that the In Flames one on the hot meter in the back is at hot. So check out the In Flames hot sauce. And this is cool too because they've been making their way into motorsports. Heartbeats Ryan Ellis sauce. This one's a little in between medium and hot. And this is another great one. So two great collabs that you can get from Heartbeat hot sauce. I'm telling you, Ryan, they're taking over the world. They're taking over the world.
I like it when my name is on a hot sauce bottle any way I can get it.
Can you imagine a Rockman Power Hour hot sauce? How cool would that be?
Yeah, it better not be mild, though. I like treating my mouth like it's in a dare.
Okay, I'm just going to leave that alone.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I want to dare you to do some stuff with your mouth.
Oh, okay. Well, I've done that on the air a few times here where I just put the hot sauce in my mouth like this, but it kind of like made me just bleed through all my supplies. Yeah. Never again.
Yeah.
Never again.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. All right. So thanks to Heartbeat Hot Sauce and thanks to Studio House Designs. We both got something both 2 movies that we love. You've got the Casper shirt on. I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that one, if I'm not mistaken, on the back, it's the advertisement for okay, no, it doesn't have that one. I know one now because you've got the tie dye on. Okay. I can see that.
Yeah.
But what's great about that shirt is they've got a really, really cool design on the back. That they've put on some of the hoodies, and I think it's some of the long sleeves where it's the advertisement for the VHS. So,
that's cool. Yeah. I want the sweater too, but I just want it. I want them all, like Pokemon. I want to catch them all.
That is the issue with Studio House Designs is that they make so many rad things that you want to get all of them. I'm rocking the Beetlejuice shirt. This is one that makes my rotation quite often. Usually I wash it. It's on the top of the pile, and I'm like, I want to wear that again. So
what's uniquely crazy about that shirt is that on camera it looks green as hell, and in person looks a bit more yellow. I believe it's because it glows in the dark.
Yeah, I think it does that way. Yeah. Don't. I mean, I turn the lights.
Don't quote me on it. I don't walk around in the dark very often enough to say, "Hey, is my shit glowing?" But
if your shit's glowing in the dark, you got to go see a doctor. All right. No medical advice on this show, but what we will do is we will talk about the Dirty Nil. And they have got a brand new album out called Free Reins to Passions. It's actually coming out on May 26th. You can pre-order it now. They are going to be in town in Montreal this coming weekend at Pouzza Fest, and we're very excited about that. Ryan and I are going out. We're going to have one of our hot dude summer nights dates, which is going to be a lot of fun. And the new album is called Free Rein to Passions. And the video for Nicer Guy, Ryan, is so funny. It is so funny. And what I love about these guys is they always know how to do a funny video. They always know how to make you laugh, but at the same time, they know how to write incredible songs. And I like this band. The first time I saw them was at 77, and they were just so good. They were so good and nice guys, hard workers, Canadian dudes. So they know how to do it. They've what I love about Canadian bands, they have this way of, it's almost like, this isn't negative because they're so nice, right? But there's almost like this confidence / niceness / we've done our homework, we've put in the hours, and we know we're good. Like think Ryan Reynolds, perfect example, right? Ryan Reynolds might come across as someone who's a little arrogant, might come across as someone who's a little self-assured, but he's put the work in and he's a nice guy. So all that wrapped into one is what you usually get with really, really good Canadian bands. Do you get what I'm getting at?
Oh, totally. And you're absolutely right about that, because sometimes when you meet a band that's a bunch of dicks, it's actually because they don't feel that they're actually good, and they have to kind of like act like dicks in order for people to take them seriously. Yeah. Which is not a Canadian thing. Yeah. Actually. Yeah. And that's a big difference. Like it's very rare to find a Canadian band that would do that. But at the same time, I think it's just because Canada, we have this way of kind of like not, we're complimentative, but at the same time, we don't technically celebrate our own enough. So as a result, they got to kind of go somewhere else for us to take them seriously. And I'm happy to say that Dirty Nil is beloved all around the world. So,
and you hear that when we talk to Luke, he talks a lot about going to Europe and the other thing, Ryan, we love a good story on this podcast, and I love when a guest is comfortable enough to share a story. And Luke shares the best story about meeting one of his musical heroes, and a second hero ended up showing up right at the photo op. And I don't even want to give it away because I want people to listen, but this story is like a really, really good one, a really good moment of meeting your hero. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So without any further ado, let's jump into this right now. Wow.
Oh, that's staying in.
Fuck me. Wow.
That was awesome.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. That is just years of abuse. Without any further ado, here's our interview with Luke from the Dirty Nil.
Could I keep the cough in?
Sure, keep it in. All right, really, really happy to have on the show this week. I really, really like this band. I like them for a long, long time. I work at Shome. They've been my big shiny new song of the week a couple of times, and they're coming to Montreal for Pouzza Fest. I have got Luke from the band The Dirty Nil. How are you doing, my man?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Jason?
I'm good. I need to talk to you about this new record, but I really, really need to talk to you about the video for the single.
My pleasure.
Because the first thing that I saw, I was doom scrolling on my phone, and I just see footage of a soccer ball hitting someone. And I'm like, this is brilliant. And this is exactly the Dirty Nil in a moment for me. Just the tongue in cheek. But it was so effective because, literally he's having the hot dog and it's nothing to do with the song yet. It's just, all right, let's do that again. And what I like about this band is that you have a certain intensity when you guys play live. You guys know how to write hooks, but you also know how to have fun.
Very much. And
it just kind of brings me back to a time when bands were able to do that. When it came to the music and writing the music, they were serious about it. You could tell that they were going for it and they had the chops, but they were able to laugh at themselves a little bit. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I mean, we grew up on videos by, Sum 41 and the Foo Fighters and
Blink.
Stuff. And videos that were funny, and that I think that's the kind of stuff that really got us. And so we rarely kind of delve into more serious and cinematic type videos. I think that when it comes to videos, we just basically view them as an opportunity to see what we can get away with and what kind of childhood jackass fantasies we can get down on tape with the budget allotted to us. So
Right.
we have a video crew, barn burner films that we work with on almost all of our videos, and basically we just get together, and either Kyle or I will have like at least a rough concept, and then we kind of sit around and just basically try and outdo each other with ideas on how to spice it up, and then we show up and we do it in one day, and it's a lot of fun. I think we've done videos in the past that have been 3-day shoots, and they're really long and exhausting, and you got to hear the song a trillion times, and we basically try and shoot now to have one day where we shoot off all of our fireworks in one go, so to speak, and sometimes literally.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was going to say, you see, it seems like you got in Nicer Guy, you get I don't know if it was a gender reveal thing, like it looks like you got that right in the face.
I took it right to the dome, Jason, and it took a while to get those pink particles out of my eyes.
So, and I want to talk about this song, obviously, because it's the single. It's the single that I've been playing on my show. When you shot that video, what were you? Was it like a steady cam that because it looked like you're almost on a dolly, but like it gave the effect that you weren't necessarily just walking straight. There was a bit of an angle to it. How was that achieved?
So we had a steady cam, which I can say for anybody who's never worn one out there, it's wildly uncomfortable. I mean,
it looked uncomfortable.
Yeah, it basically puts all the weight up. So the camera's suspended in front of you and then held by two metal rods. Yeah. And all of that weight is basically pushed into your lower back. And so you kind of have to lean back or else you'll fall forward.
Right.
So yeah, I felt like I was 90 years old at the end of that day. It was pretty.
But it achieved a look, and it achieves a vibe too.
We had a great day, and I think it's one of the only videos that we've ever shot that we didn't all get sunburns. So I'll chalk that up for victory as well.
Did you guys have to draw straws when it came in the planning and when you were going over the treatment of the video? Did you have to draw straws on who was going to take the soccer ball to the face while having the hot dog? Or
I think Kyle actually wanted that really? Shot himself. So I think there was no competition over that. I think Kyle, shout out to Kyle. He's always willing to take to inflict maximum damage on himself for the proper shot. So he's a soldier in that way. I only had to get the fake bird poop on my head and the gender reveal shot in the eyes, which was, oddly toxic tasting.
I can imagine.
But that's I guess that's to be expected when you get them off of Amazon. But Sam got the hot coffee on him. Yeah. And then at the end of the video, if anybody's watched it to that point, there's a hail of cupcakes, cabbages, sauces, and various other items thrown at us. And that was a lot of fun. That was probably the funnest part of the whole video.
So the new album's coming out May 26th. And what's the plan moving forward from there? I mean, are you guys booked? I know you're playing Pooza, but I guess about a week before the record comes out.
Yes.
What's the plan after that?
So we got a 6-week tour that starts on June 1st, a full US tour with some select Western Canada dates with Dan Romano and The Outfit, who we're huge fans of. Going back to Tackin' Black days, but I think Dan's just incredible and his band is amazing. So we're really, really stoked for that tour. That tour ends on July 15th in London, Ontario. And we play with Alexis on Fire, Billy Talent, Silverstein, and Cypress Hill, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, have you ever seen Cypress Hill?
Never, no.
Oh man, it is. Listen, I've seen Cypress many times. I got to go to about 4 Prophets of Rage shows.
Oh yeah,
which was amazing. Cypress Hill are gonna you make sure you find I hope your times aren't conflicting, that you're gonna
it's one of those great festivals where it's all one stage. So
oh, great. Oh, you're going to have the best time.
Play and then we'll just get to watch. So yeah, really looking forward to that. So then we're home for about a week or so. And then we've got a pretty extensive UK tour that we're announcing in a few days. We usually when we go to England, we only do 2 or 3 dates. So really excited to get up to Scotland, and we've never been to Wales before, and we haven't been to Brighton in a long time. So we're doing that. And then we're coming home from that, and then we've got some dates, some North American dates coming together for the fall, and we're still kind of patching together the rest of the year, but we plan to basically be on the road the whole time, and we've got a lot of other new music that we've got plans for as well. So really busy rest of the year. It's just really exciting to get it going again.
Yeah. Does it feel so? Did you guys during pandemic, were you kind of sidelined, or were you able to keep going?
We were pretty fortunate because we basically finished our last.
Yeah, because I think when we spoke, you guys had kind of finished everything. You kind of got out of it right before, right?
Right. So we basically, long story short, we got the pandemic really struck with the lockdown right as we had finished drums and bass for the album. So then I got to finish the guitar, locked in the studio with the engineer. Our producer had to fly back to Seattle because they were closing the border. So we basically finished the album from home and sent the tracks out to him. He mixed it. And so we were able to basically move forward with the album and shoot videos outside under all these pandemic guidelines and keep things moving forward, which was a real saving grace for us because it didn't allow us to sit on our hands like a lot of bands had to. I really felt for the bands that couldn't do anything, but we were super busy during 2020 and 2021 as well. Just kind of, we stretched out that album campaign because we really had nothing better to do.
Right.
And then, so then basically as soon as the album was done in 2020, I just started writing more songs, and we have a ton of songs now that we've got backlogged, and we always hammer away at them in the practice space and make sure that, in our terrible little concrete practice space, that if the arrangement can sound good in this horrible little room, then it's ready to record, basically.
Right.
We're not the kind of band that steps into the studio with an idea and then has a producer help us put it all together. We're old school. We make sure that things really, really rip in our terrible bunker of a jam space from front to back before we even demo it. So
you guys have been in this space for a long time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think we've spoken before about this. You seem to really have a disdain for this place.
I have a serious disdain, yet grudging respect and acknowledgement that it's an important part of our band. This horrible space. We've had some nice jam spaces. This is not one of the nicer ones, but I will say it's very secure, and very centrally located. It's everything.
I mean, come on, man! Security when you're in a band, and your gear and all that. That's everything.
Yes, we had one jam space that we just knew it wasn't going to last because we were sharing it with the Arkells.
Okay,
and it was right across the street from a law office, and it was on the second floor of this beautiful old building that was being renovated. And we would play so loud, and it had these massive windows that did all the sound was escaping. And the law office would come across to the building managers and say, "Are you sure that's the Arkells playing up there?" And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's fine. It's just the Arkells." And then a month later, they're like, "That's definitely not the Arkells." You got to turn it down. So we got kicked out, but we had a good time.
So someone was knocking at your door.
Yes, someone was knocking at our door. Yes.
I think the first time I saw you guys play was at 77 in Montreal.
Oh, that was a great show. Yeah.
That was quite a while back. And I remember we had just started playing you guys, and I was very excited to finally see this band play. And then I got to see you in a smaller room. And it's what's good about you guys, you're able to adapt. If you are on a festival, you can play to a festival size crowd, or if you're in a smaller room, you can play. And that obviously comes from being adaptable and playing all these different size rooms, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, we obviously, like most, punk bands or rock bands, where we have played a lot of basements and tiny bars and all the corners of North America and Europe. And so that's kind of our main format. But when we get the opportunity to play on these big stages, it's so nice to have some space to run around and really enjoy it. But I think that we grew up on classic rock bands, and we were the first YouTube generation. And so Kyle and I, when we started the band when we were 16 years old, we would just sit there and watch videos of the Who and the Windmills and the Smashing and everything. And so we were always drawn to these big theatrical bands. And so that's kind of just like a part of what we love about rock and roll. And we never really liked bands that just stood there and focused on perfection. That was never interesting to us. So we've always been drawn to the the theatrical and the chaos of rock.
Well,
and
yeah,
roll.
and that's the thing. I mean, there's it's funny you bring up the Who, because they're always one of the bands that I always say doesn't get the respect that they deserve. And yeah, they're respected, but they're not always in that conversation of the greatest. And they were really pioneers.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, out of all out of all that kind of first wave, like, classic rock bands, they've always been my favorite.
Yeah.
I think just because they did something completely different from everybody else. And I think Pete's he's my favorite guitar player of all time.
Yeah. He's amazing.
There's a great interview with Mark Maron, where basically I think Mark Maron talked to Mick Jagger, and Mark is just like, okay, so who was the best band and of all the 60s bands? And he hasn't even finished the question, and Mick Jagger's like, the Who. Like, he's just like, nobody could beat them. They were just the best. And Mick Jagger's not the kind of guy to dole out compliments to other bands, but he's forced to admit that, like, the Who did bring it more than anybody else did.
Well, yeah, and I think one of the reasons why they kind of might have gotten left out of the conversation is because they were kind of uncompromising in everything that they did. Like you could tell that they were really the beginnings of punk rock for me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, very much so. I think so. And I think one of the other things that somewhat stilted their that hindered them a little bit was that, like, the gulf between the ferocious live presence that they had and their studio recordings was pretty significant for a while. And I think they really closed that gap on Live at Leeds, and basically showed what they could do live on record. I think that's still one of the most kick-ass,
so good
live recordings of all time. Yeah. And from then on, like through the 70s, they have a lot of really ripping studio recordings. Who's Next is obviously just incredible, but I think it took them a while to figure out how to really deliver what they do onto tape. But they figured it out.
Yeah, and they're still playing.
And they're still doing it. We had the opportunity to play with them. Actually, we played with them in 2017 on my birthday, and I got to meet.
Okay, all right, hang on. Let's talk about that, because I usually like to ask bands who's been that band that they played with, or they. So obviously, after you're a Who fan, so am I. I can tell right off the bat. Just by you know your shit. What was that like?
It was just the best. It was probably the best day of my whole rock and roll little journey so far. Like, it was in anybody's career, anytime you achieve something, it's always contextualized by, like, this is great, but these other bad things are happening, so it's not as good as it looks on paper. You can rob yourself of victories that way, but with that day, it was a pure, clean, like, back in time high five to our 16-year-old selves. It was unbelievable. It was just one of the best days of my entire life. We got to play. It was Festival d'été, and
Festival d'été de Quebec.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing, that festival.
Incredible. I mean, by far the biggest stage we've ever played on.
Big.
It's incredible. And so
for people that have never been there before, and it's true, because I have some of my friends, like, from Montreal, Anglophones, that have never been to that festival. I'm like, guys, this festival is incredible. You have no idea. Yeah. Like, you can see, Slayer and Level 42 the same week. Yeah. And they're like, what? No, but that main stage is so fucking big. Yeah. Like, it's huge. It's
bananas. Like, the next night was Metallica. We got to stay and watch Metallica play. And then I remember looking at the festival lineup, and I'm gonna butcher this because I can't quite remember it, but it's two, like, levels of this, or artists of this level, is like Kendrick Lamar, The Who, like, all of the top artists in the world are there during that week. Like, every time I see the lineup of that festival, it blows my mind. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
So you got to meet. So how did, like, did you have to arrange it? Did you have to say in advance, like, hey, I'm a big fan, or was it just in passing? How did it happen?
So basically, they had their own area of the backstage, and we were basically just told, just do not enter this area. And obviously, like, these guys are 70. I totally understand that they got, and it's the first show of their tour, so they want to be left alone. But the funny thing is, like, after we had finished playing, I was going back to our green room, and I looked over and I saw, and Pete Townsend was in our area, and he was carrying a bunch of pieces of paper and he was trying to find his guitar tech, and he was really angry. Funny that Pete Townshend's really angry, but he's looking for his guitar tech, and so I started kind of like following behind him, about like 10 feet behind him, and then all of a sudden this Escalade limo pulled up and basically pinned Pete Townsend and I against a fence together. And then he turned around and I just like exploded. I'm like, oh my God, Pete Townsend, like a 14-year-old girl. And he kind of, I don't know, he was very nice to me. And I just basically said, like, you're my favorite guitar player and you're my favorite band. This is the best day ever. It's my birthday. I just kind of blurted out a bunch of stuff, embarrassed myself. I didn't care though. And he hit his guitar tech came up and he took a couple photos of us.
Oh, so you got pictures?
Yes. And then
amazing.
And while we were hanging out, Pete said, hey, Roger, do you want to get in this shot? And I look over and Roger Daltrey had just gotten out of this limo that pulled up. And Roger's like looking at us with crossed arms, and he's just like, I don't think he wants me in the shot. I think he just wants Pete. And then I'm just like, Roger Daltrey. I screamed Roger Daltrey, and I like grabbed him and brought him in, and everyone was like laughing because of how hysterical I was. And we like did a few shots together. It was just the best day.
That is incredible. That is an amazing story. So that
it was a good day.
When those kind of things happen, I'm sure it reaffirms all the shitty days. It makes you realize that if I wouldn't have put in all that work, all those hours in that fucking cement room, all those times playing, in, I don't know, in like fucking Kitchener, in some fucking basement, church basement, like whatever, it's all worth it when that happens.
It is. I mean,
that wouldn't have happened if you wouldn't have done all that.
No. And it's one of those things that you can't really predict. And it was just a complete chance meeting in terms of me being able to actually rub shoulders with them, literally.
Yeah.
But, as I said, it's when you make rock and roll your career, I'm sure even to people that only have a peripheral view of it, there's a lot of issues, and it's a complicated career path, to say the least. But moments like that pull all of that away and bring you back to your 14-year-old self, who's just like purely excited about music and has no jaded feelings or anything. And so it's it really, really gives you life. And it's definitely it's something that I get to have for the rest of my life, is that memory. It's a beautiful thing. This
is the thing that, unless you've played music, and I played music, I was in a band for a long time, did a lot of fun stuff, until you do that and realize that, these are moments that will last forever. They're memories. But it's the trick is that when you're in the grind, to remember that, you have to enjoy. And like you were saying, there's this, that was a perfect day.
Yeah.
It was just and because most bands aren't always in the perfect day, even if perfect things are happening, because you are thinking about the load out after and this and that. And to be able to take that time and maybe step out of yourself and go, wait a minute, like, Luke's here with fucking his heroes, like it's great that happens, because incredible things happen when you're in a band. And when it's a journey, but it's I've always said this, these are the things that you're going to be able to sit on a porch one day, drinking lemonade when you're old, going, remember when we met the Who? Like, yes. And I always say that these are old man moments. Yes. That's an old man moment. Definitely.
Yeah. That's one of my better old man moments for sure. There's a few other ones that I would love to have, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Like, my other favorite band is The Replacements, and I think it's very low chance that they'll ever play together again. And Paul Westerberg, who's my other hero, who's seems to be a bit of a recluse, so I don't think I'll ever get to meet him. But I'll take Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey. That's going to have to do.
Yeah, but if you put it out there and you say that you want to meet Pete, you might happen.
You never know. Yeah. Well, I know people that do know him, and I've tried to not push it too hard, but if the opportunity presents itself, every time I'm in Minneapolis, I'm always just like reaching out to people like, what's the most recent sighting of Paul? Has anybody seen him? Where was my best chance of finding him?
Was he side stage at First Avenue? I mean, come on. Yeah, it's amazing when those things can happen, and I think it might. I mean, you've said it now, you've made it public, you probably said it before, but on this show, you've made it public, so we're going to will it. And I'm going to tell you, I have this knack of making things happen, so I'm going to put it out there too. I'm going to pray on it.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it, dude.
So tell me a bit about this show that's happening in Montreal. Have you guys played Pouzza Fest before? I would imagine, right?
We have, but it's been a long time. It's I mean, I just love Pouzza Fest. I think it's been way too long since we've been to Montreal. The last time we were there was 2019, so it's been about 4 years, and it feels really good to be coming back right before our record comes out. We're playing with the Bronx, who I love.
Oh yeah.
And it's just a great weekend for us. We've got a couple shows in Kitchener right before.
Speaking of Kitchener,
speaking of Kitchener,
yeah, I wasn't shitting on Kitchener. I was just trying to think
of
a smaller market. I could have said I should have said like Peterborough or something.
Yeah. It's not quite Kitchener. Actually, we're playing at a brewery, somewhere around there. I can't quite remember the town name, but
right.
Anyways, we got a couple warm-up shows, and we got the Pouzza Fest show. I just love the festival. It's one of those great opportunities that we have to see some of our friends that we never get to see, where everybody kind of converges on one area. It's like a South by Southwest, but way more manageable and less stressful. It's a perfect size festival. I really like Pouzza.
And what's great about it's in Montreal, it's really the kickoff to the summer. I mean, Pouzza's and it's always like that dicey time. Is it going to be warm? Is it going to be kind of cold? But it's the kickoff, and when Pouzza happens, summer's open. It's almost like it. Well, it happens on it's almost around May 2-4 weekend, which you guys, Ontario, relate to, which we never kind of celebrate. May 2-4 weekend. I remember going to Ontario and people going, "Oh, what are you doing for May 2-4?" I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, what is May 2-4 weekend? But it is a nice time of year. So I'm glad you're coming back to Montreal. I'm glad we're able to support you here at the station as well. And
thank you so much.
That was a great story. You should tell more stories because you're a great storyteller, and I'm glad we got to share that moment.
That's kind of you. Well, I appreciate any opportunity that I have to tell my Who story.
And we're going to make sure everybody hears your Who story because it's a great one.
You.
New album comes out May 26th. Thanks so much for taking the time, and we'll see you soon, man.
My pleasure. Hail, hail, rock and roll.
So yeah, that's the king of all stories, and I gotta say, it's like if I ever met the Who, would I let all my inhibitions down and become an excitable 13-year-old girl over somebody?
Yes,
probably. Actually, you know what? Actually, I've had a lot of practice over the years, meeting some really amazing, rad people, and I've managed to keep it together. But I have a question, Jason. Who is your Pete Townsend? Because everybody has that one person that is like, I'm cool. Holy shit.
Yeah. I think really it's funny because there's been two. Peter Hook from New Order and Joy Division. That one. But
okay. And he was on the show and you kept it together. Good for you.
But he's been on the show after meeting him a few times. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's why.
Right.
Okay.
But the one that I got to say the most starstruck that I've ever been was Jim Kerr from Simple Minds. And we had him on as well. But the first time I met him, Julia loves this story because she didn't understand at all. I was downstairs at Metropolis waiting to interview him. And he walked down the stairs and I almost started crying. And Julia looked at me and she goes, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And I go, "Well, it's," and I was just like, I can't believe it. It's like, it's Jim Kerr. And she was just, she after she was like, because she comes to a lot of these things with me and she's met a lot of people and she's like, he just was like some old dude.
Yeah.
For her, it was, she didn't understand. And I'm like, no, but, and then at the end of the night, she's, we're backstage and she's chatting with Charlie Burchill, the guitar player, who's another older guy, about, whiskeys and scotch and beer. And they're just talking about alcohol and stuff. And I'm like, fuck, man, this is just a crazy moment. So I've had those moments. And so his moment with Roger Daltrey and with Pete Townsend, I mean, geez, man, that is just that's epic. And I understand that completely. That is one where, and I love the way he shares it with such enthusiasm,
If I ever met Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day, I think with the little bit of training in acting I've had, I would keep it together. Yeah. But I got to tell you, inside my little brain,
your mind.
I'd be fucking shitting myself. So Billy Joe Armstrong and Nikki Sixx and I if we all are sitting on a conversation at a table talking about music, you'd have to buy me a new pair of pants.
Well, we got to make that our goal. I mean, we've had Nikki Sixx on the podcast. So we got to get Billy.
Well, it was trying to edit a Nikki Sixx interview, but I'm just like, if I ever hear him say my name with intention and it doesn't follow, get the fuck out of here. It would be
All
great.
right. Well, we want to thank our guest Luke from the Dirty Nil. Make sure you go check them out at Pouza Fest this coming weekend in Montreal. They're going to be playing at Fafun Electric with the Bronx. So if you are from Montreal, you know what Pouza is, and if you're not, check it out. It is great. What I love about Pouza, and it's my first time going this year. I've never been before. And what I love about Pouza, just in itself, as a festival that's announced, to me, it's always that means summer's coming. Pouza is always the first one. It's always the one in May. It's the first festival you see announced in terms of spring, summer, here we go. And I'm excited that you and I are going to get to go see them on Sunday night. So go check them out this Sunday night at Pouza Festival.
I've played Pouza twice.
Of course you have.
Yeah. I was in a band called The Real Deal for a few years there, and we played the biggest. I think it was the last Montreal Real Deal show I ever did was play Club Soda.
Right.
And we were opening up first. And it's actually funny. We'll tell reference our episode on cattle decapitation. I'll tell the details of the story a lot more. But long story short, we're at Pouza playing with Mad Caddies and just playing Club Soda. It was just so surreal to be like, I watched so many bands rock the stage, and now I'm standing on the stage and I can't hear my bass. Anyway.
And right before we go, we also have to give a big shout out to the Interrupters. We had them on the show a while back, and you and I got to go to the show in Montreal. Amy, Kevin, and the twins were just so nice, and they were amazing. I mean,
Justin and Jesse,
great people,
mystery solving twins. The President section.
Seriously, dude, they're such great people. They were gracious hosts. I love that band, and you know when you see that band that's doing well, and you're cheering from the sidelines, and you really want them to do well. That's the band. I want them to dominate. And the fact that they're dominating in what they're doing makes me so happy because they deserve it. They work hard. They're good people. And, you go backstage, everybody's treated so well. Like, would you like something to drink? And they gave us all t-shirts. Like, they were just really nice. They really know how to take care of people. And it's just,
I was surprised by the t-shirt thing. I was like, what?
Yeah. It's the little things.
I'm Rockman's Robin. No one gives me fucking t-shirts.
Come on.
But what's a beautiful thing is after they're on our podcast, we kept in contact, and Amy independently invited us both to the show, not even together, where we're coordinating. But like when we got there, it's like, oh, you're here too? Great.
Well, that's it. And it's just nice when you have that connection with someone and it's genuine and they remember. Like those are the little things that's what separates, someone who's going to really, really succeed to someone who's like, it's the details, it's the little things, and it's the genuineness of it. Like they're not doing it just to be, oh, we want to, they're doing it because they're just nice people. And I really appreciate when that's done, when people appreciate you and yeah, they're great. And I'm so happy they're doing well. They sold out the Olympia, out. I mean, it was so busy in there.
Dude, we were talking about I'm surprised they're not Canadian based on how nice they are, which is such a typical thing to say. But I'm saying it's like, you ever meet a band and they're the nicest people ever, but they suck.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like they are so good musically. In theory, they could be awful, and I would take it. That's how good they are as songwriters and live. And I was telling Jesse this in the band is that usually bands that put out that much energy and put on such a performance live, the playing gets sacrificed, the tightness gets sacrificed in order for entertainment, but they managed to do both, which is really, really not easy to do. How can you look amazing on stage, but at the same time, not fuck up?
I think it's the repetition. It's the fact that it's the closeness of the band. Like you can't fake that. When a band is close as a unit, like I remember when my band was touring and when we were living together in California, we did the struggle together. We were together 24/7. And I remember that's
awful.
It was, but it wasn't, It was great. Actually, there was times, but no, I know. Yeah. But that lineup of the band, that like inches from the mainline version of the band was the tightest because we were dialed in, man. We were well rehearsed before we moved to California, and that's all we cared about was that. So I remember that group of songs, and when we would go, we would just be like, we would be firing on all cylinders, as they say, a well-oiled rock and roll machine, and that's what the Interrupters are.
I read in this book, in Duff McKagan's book, and I swear, like reading this pages, like made the back of my hair stand up, where they're on this Canadian tour, and the car broke down, and they had nowhere to go, and Tracy Guns had just quit the band, and Slash and Steven had joined, and they're on this tour, and Duff said, and we all sat there waiting for someone to come back. Yeah. And we all sat in silence, laser focused. And that's when I realized I finally found the army that I'm going to take over like music with. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I can visualize in my head the movie they make someday. Just five young guys like on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere, not complaining, not crying, not whining, just being like, we're going to fucking do this. And I was like, oh, I love books.
Yeah.
I love autobiographies.
No, they're the best. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week on the Rockman Power Hour. I want to thank our guest, Luke, from the Dirty Nil. Definitely go check them out at Pooza Festival this coming weekend. Thanks to Heartbeat Hot Sauce. This is the In Flames edition it's called the In Flames Touch of Red. Got it. Use our promo code Rockman20 and get 20% off your entire order. And that code is good forever. You can keep using it over and over again, and tell your friends about Heartbeat Hot Sauce. You will not regret it. It is one of the best hot sauces you will ever try in your life. Thank you to Studio House Designs for keeping us looking as good as we can look. That is for sure. And you can check them out at studiohousedesigns.com. Thank you to AKG as well. And also thanks to my co-host Ryan Stick. Thank you to our producer Julia Kajerski. And to all of you, we'll see you next time on the Rockman Power Hour.